Das Projekt Babylon war unsere letzte und einzige Hoffnung auf Frieden. Eine 5 Meilen lange Raumstation in einem neutralen Sektor. Eine Welt des Handels und der Diplomatie für eine 250.000 Menschen und Außerirdische. Ein strahlendes Leuchtfeuer, einsam in der Dunkelheit des Alls. Es war der Beginn des 3. Zeitalters der Menschheit, das Jahr, in dem für uns alle der große Krieg begann. Dies ist die Geschichte der letzten großen Weltraumstation. Wir schreiben das Jahr 2259. Der Name der Station Babylon 5.
The Babylon Project was our last, best hope for peace. A self-contained world 5 miles long located in neutral territory. A place of commerce and diplomacy for 250,000 humans and aliens. A shining beacon in space, all alone in the night. It was the dawn of the 3rd age of mankind, the year the Great War came upon us all. This is the story of the last of the Babylon stations. The year is 2259. The name of the place is Babylon 5.
Year 2 was about showing a much wider tapestry. We bring Earth more into the mix. The structure of a novel is the introduction, the rising action, the complication, the climax, and the denouement. So this would be our rising action.
Captain, what is it?
Year 2 was about shadows, literal and figurative. The shadows back home with Home Guard, the literal shadows out on the rim that Morden ran into. There were a lot of images that said to me, shadows. So The Coming of Shadows worked for me both as an episode title and as the Year 2 overall title.
The second season, I think, was a turning point for Babylon 5. There was still remaining skepticism on the part of some of the station owners. Star Trek and Star Trek alone was the only commodity that the science fiction fans would buy. We didn't believe that.
I like that.
For the first time, it's the Narns who are really the ones who are being picked upon, who are being devastated by the Centauri. And that change was important to really show the arc of Jakar.
At this moment, Jakar is no longer an official representative of Narn and must be removed from this council.
We will wait until...
No!
It's taking the story from a small point and bringing it out like this.
Captain John Sheridan, your new CO.
Welcome aboard, sir. Bruce Boxender came in season 2, and I think he was actually a little scared, he admitted to me at one point.
Interesting place you have here.
Yes, sir.
We're going to have a new captain. His name is Bruce Boxleitner. And at that moment, I thought, okay, somebody likes this show.
Always knew I should have been a doctor.
This was his biggest command that he was coming into. And that's the way I kind of looked at it as an actor as well. I was coming in. This was a post I was to fill. That'd be like in the military. You receive your orders, and this is your job to do.
We'd just gotten through the first season, and this was something that immediately lifted everybody up because we had a new person joining us that had all of this enthusiasm and excitement.
I think we'll get along just fine.
I thought, wow, this is very interesting. It's kind of guerrilla TV, you know?
This is some kind of setup you're running here, John.
Yeah, it's big, beautiful, and crazy making.
It was quite an exhilarating experience.
It's good to be the captain.
Bruce's character is hard to play. It's hard to play the guy who's always in charge and in control.
The element is definitely out of date.
Why not let the wizard have a go?
He and Claudia had a great relationship on camera.
Any word about the attack?
Just rumors. They say the Centauri are using mass drivers. I can't believe they'd resort to planetary bombardment.
Right now, I believe just about anything.
Same with he and Garibaldi.
He's got a plan. I can tell. He's got that look.
So it was a very nice add to the mix.
Open fire.
The second season was actually my favorite season, and the first episode was my favorite episode.
How's he doing?
Still no change.
Think about it. I'm in a coma. I say nothing. I get paid full salary. It's perfect.
God, I'm out of it for a few days. The whole place goes to hell.
Londo started to grow. He got himself more and more into pickles, and Veer felt a responsibility, because he's so loyal to Londo, to help him get out and make the right decisions.
Londo, don't do this.
I have no choice.
Yes, you do. Londo, please, please, please. I know you don't listen to me, but I'm asking you just this one time. Don't do this.
The old expression, watch what you wish for, you may get it. That's what's great about the evolution of Londo. He wishes for something, and we have the delight to watch him get it.
By this time tomorrow, we will be at war with the Nan. May the Great Maker forgive me.
Second season was a challenge for me individually because I broke my foot, which they had to write into the script. Joe wrote a scene where some Drazies trip me or pummel me or something.
I remember that day, actually, when we were shooting the cocoon scene, where I had unbelievable amounts of makeup and glue, and it was just very yucky.
What am I?
Talia was a very malleable character in many regards, and very much still, I think, a victim of the kind of psychor mentality.
No! You're dead. You hear me? You're dead!
Get her out of here.
I thought it was wonderful to go out on a strong power note, even if they made her evil. So what? Evil characters are some of the most interesting to play.
The Talia you knew no longer exists.
It was a very crucial year, I think, for the story. I can still remember today the episode and that particular scene, the door opening and walking in and seeing all the dead Marqueb.
There is a tendency in science fiction shows, we hit the end of the hour, the reset button is pushed, and you're back where you started from an hour earlier. I wanted B5 to be different, so it was a matter of setting up expectations that they thought we could never meet in year 2, and our job was to exceed those expectations where possible.
Ships coming through.
How many?
3.
It has begun. Initiate jump into hyperspace.
Got a plan?
Try not to get killed.
Close blast doors now!
The beginning of each season, I go to my notes for that year of storytelling and break out 3x5 cards which have all the episode stories for that year. And I begin to work them out into the correct sequencing, and also I'll work up B stories to go with them. And then the writing process begins. It takes me anywhere from 1 day to 2 weeks to write a script. The script comes in, I look at it, I panic for a while, rewrite it, turn it out.
The scripts would be read by me, would be read by Warner Brothers at the beginning, and towards the end, if they read, they never made any comments.
When that script comes out, we then have a meeting, sort of a concept meeting, to discuss what elements will be needed. And at that point, we break out the major set pieces in the show, and each department then gets to work on the various elements.
An episode would come along and all of a sudden you'd need, 50 Drazi pilots, or, well, there was never quite that many, but, a lot of flak jackets, or a large group of Centauri women entertaining at a banquet or something.
With that script that we would first get, which would be a pretty good script and be very close to what actually would be shot, we would then do what was called an art department breakdown. And in it, I would list, scene by scene, all the props, all the set dressing, whether it was a new set, whether it was a redress of another set. In my mind, any set could almost double and be something else.
We were able to take colors and use colors and scenes and bright lights and just use things that didn't, and do things that you didn't normally see, because we could get away with it. If the beam was a source of light, we use that as the source of light.
When we went to production, I would have a meeting with a director, a tone meeting, to go through every scene of the script and explain my intention, the subtext, where it was going, what it referred back to.
On a typical way that our weeks worked was, we're shooting an episode for 7 days. We're also prepping an episode for 7 days. And then there are the episodes that are in post-production.
It's usually like a 7 or 8 day shooting schedule. And as soon as you wrap one, even if it's in the middle of the day, you start the next one. And so you just kind of roll through it for 13 or 22 or 26 episodes.
We got the scripts about a week in advance before each show. They usually delivered them to your trailer while you were shooting the current episode. And so you'd have time to read it, peruse it, and see if you died or not.
We are Centauri, Ursa. We are meant to conquer, to rule, to build empires. Clearly the biggest strength of Babylon 5 is the nature of the script, the serial nature of the script, the way Joe linked the 5 seasons together. What was great is that Joe said from the beginning that there was going to be material in the first season, in the first show, that related to the 5th season and the last show.
The main thing for me as a writer that I learned a few years ago was to stop trying to write and start listening. Know your characters well enough so that you don't have to work at it. I know Jakar so well that whatever I drop him into, I sit back and watch him do all the work, and I write it down.
For 100 years, the Centauri occupied our world, devastated it. We swore we would never let that happen again.
It's a pretty hectic day. Starting around 6 in the morning, you go into makeup. A few people are already there, of course. Those are the people that have to put on the faces.
I got used to it after a while. There were rough moments, of course, when your whole face breaks out and your eyes tear and it's all, and in the first year I had this whole thing covering my ears.
You can't talk, really. You can't move. You can't read. You can't do your lines. You just have to be quiet and sit and let someone do their artistry and paint on you.
The aliens came in usually at 2 or 3 in the morning, which was why the Alien trailer had beautiful operatic music and calm ginseng candles and all this stuff. And the human makeup trailer was the one where everyone's going, yeah, we'll tell you, and screaming at each other and listening to, not opera, let's just say that.
They never listen to us. It makes me nervous.
7 o'clock we'd do a rehearsal. Say that would take half an hour. We'd be back in makeup, wardrobe, finishing touches, everything. 7:30, we'd get back onto the set. Because of where we shot Babylon 5, all of that was right there. We never had to go very far.
On an episode of Babylon 5, we had roughly 90 members of the crew, and those were the people that were there at the stage, at good old Tamarack, 3615 Tamarack Avenue in Sun Valley.
First of all, get the whole cast in there, whoever was in there, and we'd just do a read-through. We'd hear it. We'd hear the scene. The rest of the crew would stand around, watch. We'd start, the director would have some preliminary marks to put on the floor.
You block the scene out, and you wait for it to light. You go to the back step, you talk to Andreas, he's always out there smoking a cigarette, and you kind of hang out and with the extras and talk, and then you go and you shoot it. And basically, that's through the whole day. That's what you do. Then you get to lunch, and everybody sits out in the parking lot in a big tent, and we all have lunch together. And then we come back and get a little makeup on.
You know, after about 8 hours with the hairpiece, I started to tug at it and pull at it, and the makeup people would slap my hands. And one time I pulled it off, and I said, "Oh my God, look what happened, it fell off." But they knew right away that I had pulled it off.
You know, even in a vacuum, it smells of a setup. I don't like it.
I mean, someone dresses us up, tells us what to say, where to stand. We get to do it again. Someone walks up and says, "Jerry, you want some water?" I say, "Yeah, cool. Room temperature or chilled?" I go, "I have a choice." You know, now you've introduced a problem. I have to make a decision. Blend the two together, right? And, you know, if anybody offers you a TV series, take it.
It was a great show to work on insofar as the fact that we only worked 13 hours a day, us humans, of course. That's what I'm saying. Usually I would go in at 7 o'clock in the morning and get home by 8.
Babylonian Productions had it all down. I mean, they had this down to a smooth, functioning process. Most of us got home to have dinner with our families and had the evening to have a life other than that. And that's, you know, that hadn't been my experience on other TV series, where it was sometimes 10 o'clock at night you're rolling in, you know, to get up and be there by 7 the next morning.
What would happen in post is, as the episode was in production, the previous day's material would be logged by an assistant editor, would be and digitized into an editor's Avid.
It usually was 9 hours of footage per every 1 hour of footage we got onto the air. That varied depending upon the director.
The editor would start working on assembling that stuff right away.
You look through your whole dailies, whether they be an hour's worth or 2 hours worth, and you kind of visually decide on what you want to do. After that, you start cutting the scenes individually, whether it be scene 9, because they never film in order, or scene 27. After you finish cutting your scenes together, you start to put them together in acts. After they're finished in acts, you put them together into a whole show. Then the director comes in and makes his changes.
Joe and I would take a look at that, and it would usually be 2 days after we received that, so we had a chance to look at it 2 or 3 times. And we would go in and spend an entire day. It would never take us longer than a day to do the fine cut of the episode and lock the picture. And it was, from that point, we would spot our visual effects. Once the picture was locked and we had the duration of frames for matte paintings and you know, visual effects, we would spot that with them. And then we would also sit down with the sound design team and with Christopher Franke and spot the music.
I spot the audio, meaning I say, "Chris, bring in the music at 1 minute 10 seconds and bring it out by 2 minutes 14 seconds. And then he fills that blank, and we discuss the kind of music that I want for that sequence. Finally, we take all these sound effects, all the CGI, the dialogue replacement, if a line wasn't done correctly on stage, they loop it, and we go into the mixing bay and we load the whole thing up, and we trust walk away with an actual episode.
Challenges of doing a TV show that lasts for such a long time. There's not much time for any rehearsing, for any play, really. I mean, it's just a matter of doing it right. In the shortest time possible.
The challenging things for me was what to do with your time in between. Because you always have these grand expectations that you're going to study Russian lit or something like that in your trailer while you're between shots, and I always end up shooting the breeze with the cast and crew, and you think, wow, 4 years I could have learned a language, I could have learned how to paint, I could have, done anything.
The atmosphere on Babylon 5 was always a lot of fun. They're all characters. I mean, from Jerry to Claudia to it was a great, lively group of people.
I can't think of any challenges because it's so much fun. It's like, I'm being paid to do this? It's incredible. I get to put on makeup and costumes and act silly and act dramatically, and so what could that challenge be? I mean, a challenge to me would be, oh my God, I got to dig this ditch by 3 p.m.
Had to do make phoners on my lunch hour. I'd have a half hour for lunch, and I'd be sitting in one of the production office desks with a telephone calling Indiana, whomever, WK something blah 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 in Indiana, and hey, hi, I can't tell you how many voices I heard. Hey, Bruce Boxleitner on Babylon 5. Hey, he's right here with us, ladies and gentlemen.
An ISN crew and I recently spent 36 hours aboard Babylon 5, asking hard questions, and on occasion, getting in a little over our heads.
You're terribly aware of the fact that this monster is chewing through stories and coming right up behind your ass at every possible moment. So producing a series is living in a constant state of panic and terror, and hoping that you don't screw it up, because if it ain't on the page, it ain't going to work on the stage.
It was a very, very professional, in many ways humble set where everybody did their jobs.
I know it sounds cliche, but we were kind of like a family, an outer space family.
It was a very cost-effective show and technically brilliant.
We did over 770 days of production, and only 13 of those did we work any significant overtime.
It's still on today. It just baffles me. It's been such a long time.
For me, it was a real terrifying and exhilarating experience, like skydiving.
We show up and you know, we had a really tight crew and a cast that showed up ready to go to work, and that's how you can bang out that much of a show on that budget in a 6-day format or even in a 7-day format.
This was something to get up to go to work every morning, and you don't get that often. And I warned a lot of my fellow cast members that eat it up, folks, relax and enjoy this experience, because they don't come like this very often.
You must understand that I come at this show from a fan's perspective. I grew up a fan of science fiction. I love the genre, both written and televised in the radio. And when I used to go to stores to look for a good science fiction novel to read, the first criteria would be, on the jacket somewhere, it would say, Hugo Award winner, which said to me, a quality piece of work. It was a guarantee that the visions and ideas there were new to me and innovative.
There's this event called the World Science Fiction Convention, or WorldCon. 1952, they started giving out awards, the Science Fiction Achievement Awards, or Hugo Awards. It's named for Hugo Gernsback, who was one of the early editors in science fiction in the 30s. And the convention has about 6,000 members each year. So each one of them is eligible to send in up to 5 nominations in a category. And it could be a movie or it could be an episode of a TV show.
Joe was sitting in my office, and he was kind of musing, and he's saying, it's great that we just got to do the pilot, but, if out of all of this, if we were somehow recognized by the World Academy of Science Fiction and got a Hugo, so that would be the apex. And I just kind of looked at him and go, yeah, that would be kind of cool. And we both kind of looked at each other and we just kind of went, nah.
The Dramatic Presentation Award is really centered on the writing of those awards, how well crafted, how well thought out, how complex the stories and the characters are. So it's very meaningful that something gets an award. It's really strongly the writing.
When we got our nomination for the Hugo with Coming of Shadows, that alone was a salutary thing. But to be honest, I really kind of wanted it a lot.
We beat Apollo 13, we beat Trek, this little old upstart TV show that, everybody said was never going to make it past season 1, had won a Hugo.
I think that for me, what made Coming of Shadows a stronger episode was that was the one where everything clicked. In television, it's a mixed bag. Sometimes the script is good and the actors aren't quite there, or the actors are great and the script sucks. But every once in a while, you find yourself in a position where the script works, the actors work, the story works, we had the arc elements there, the characters were all true to form, and everything about it was right. And I remember I saw a memo to the cast and crew after we finished shooting it saying, this is what the show should be. I'm big on the idea of personal courage, big on the idea of seizing the moment, because end of the day, moments are all we really have. And there's a point when the Emperor says, the past tempts us, the present confuses us, the future frightens us.
So much pain, so much blood, and for what? I wonder. The past tempts us, the present confuses us, and the future frightens us. And our lives slip away, moment by moment, lost in that vast, terrible in-between.
So often, we live lives of quiet desperation, living in inertia, living in paralysis of trying to change ourselves and our world and our lives. And progress only happens if you're willing to take those chances and step out on your own faith and your own life. And I've fought all my life to say, take responsibility and seize the moment as an individual. And that's what the Centauri Emperor was talking about there in that speech. And that, if there's any one section of the show that embodies most my personal belief system, it's in those two lines of dialogue.
Heat this up, Shakar, and soon you won't have a planet to protect.
In the very first episode of Babylon 5, Londo says he had a dream with Jakar and he strangling one another to death. And most people thought it would be some kind of a great, terrible conflict or other. In this episode as well, we had reference to that dream where he sees his future down the road, Centauri being somewhat precognitive about their own deaths. And I wanted to really set the stage for Londo's growth, his development. We see him becoming emperor. I think it must be just a dream. It can't be actually the real deal. We see a hand reaching out of the stars, which is Londo's ambition. You think, oh, great thing, I'm the emperor in my dream, but he's troubled by it. Because on some level, however cellular, he knows that things come with a price. And to me, that was part of foreshadowing the entire series from that point onward.
Lo and behold, you flash forward another 12 months, and we get a second Hugo for Severed Dreams.
I was hoping we would get the nomination for Severed Dreams. You never know if that's going to happen or not. That one, like Coming of Shadows, was a huge episode where the story jumps forward in leaps and bounds. And we suddenly have the Earth War breaking out in earnest. I was happy just to get the nomination for that one. We were up against huge films. I figured the odds of winning against that kind of competition are nil. But I went to the Lone Star Convention in Texas for that one. And when the choice was announced, I just was flummoxed. I actually didn't stand up for a second. I thought it must be a mistake. I must have misheard that. And a fan kicked me from behind saying, "Get up there!" So I went up. There comes a point in all of our lives we have to make a stand at some point or other. And for Sheridan, the moment is crystallized in one shot. It's that moment you have when you realize, I've been diagnosed with the disease, my sister has been killed, whatever it is, and the world closes in around you. And for him, his world has collapsed around him. And he has to make the hardest decision of his life. And that, to me, is the best part of drama, when a character has to go against everything he's ever been taught or believed to do what he believes now is correct. And for him to break off from the Earth Alliance at that point, to declare independence, is like breaking away from the United States or any larger government. And it means that if you fail, you're dead. As simple as that. The moment when Sheridan says to each of them, you have a vote, yes or no, do we stand or do we fight? Their decisions, one by one, I didn't want to be jingoistic. Everything they've experienced on the show to this point has led them to that decision finally. And it had to be real. If it was jingoistic, if it felt like, yeah, let's go get him, you wouldn't buy it. It had to be a moment when you hear in the dialogue the quiet turning of their considered conscience. And to me, that's what the show also is emblematic of. Not the glory of war, but the necessity of war from time to time.
You either get ratings or an audience or the project disappears. So to get commercial acceptance and then to get the recognition for the science fiction achievement by the Hugo people was something we're very proud of.
For every writer, the goal is to make something that endures. And to have won the Hugo says that we will now endure. That, look back at the history books for the Hugo Award ceremonies and we'll be there. And it's a great certification from the fan community that we did it right, first and foremost.
For a TV series to win it all is unusual, especially since we've gone to a single episode. To win 2 years in a row is remarkable.
End of the day, people like Rod Serling are known for Twilight Zone. Gene Roddenberry is known for Star Trek. And when they plant me someday and they run the obituary in the Daily Variety, it will say creator of Babylon 5. And I will be fine with that, because that will be on the shelf for all of time.
Accessing file. Subject, Star Fury. Babylon 5's strongest means of defense is the Star Fury, a one-person fighter featuring an X-foil design. The station employs several Cobra bays, each capable of launching numerous Star Furies at a moment's notice. Designed specifically for zero-gravity combat, the Star Fury can rotate 180 degrees in 1 second, positioning the pilot to fire the ship's deadly pulse discharge cannons. In the event of serious damage, the pilot can jettison the cockpit away from the fuselage. End file. Subject, Jump Gate. Jump gates are immense machines that create openings called jump points to and from hyperspace, allowing ships to quickly travel the vast distances between stars and planets. While some larger vessels can generate the tremendous power necessary to form their own jump points, smaller ships must rely on the stationary jump gate and its vortex generator to punch a hole into hyperspace. End file. Subject, Earth Alliance vessels. Earth Alliance vessels are frequent visitors to Babylon 5. Cargo ships transport a wide variety of goods and supplies, while passenger liners ferry visitors to and from the station on a regular basis. Military ships of Earth Force may travel to Babylon 5 during routine patrols or whenever a show of force is necessary. Even Earth's president has journeyed to the station, traveling aboard his personal transport, Earth Force 1. End file. Subject, Alien vessels. Functioning as a diplomatic and commercial port of call, Babylon 5 plays host to vessels of all shapes and sizes, and from nearly every spacefaring race in the known universe. All alien ships are welcome to visit Babylon 5, provided their intentions are peaceful. Approaching spacecraft must gain clearance from the C&C before they can access one of the station's docking bays. End file. Subject, Raiders. A continuing threat to the shipping lanes around Babylon 5, the Raiders are pirates who ambush unsuspecting transports, stealing their cargo. The deadly Raiders' ships are designed for both space and atmospheric combat. While overmatched by the more maneuverable Star Fury, Raider fighters are capable of crippling most cargo vessels. In order to surprise their targets with hit-and-run attacks, the Raiders utilize a command and control ship capable of generating its own jump points. End file. Subject, Copernicus. The Copernicus is an ancient Earth exploration vessel found drifting near Babylon 5. Before the acquisition of jumpgate technology, sleeper ships such as the Copernicus would travel deep space with its occupants frozen in suspended animation. The vessels were programmed to wake the crew upon contact with any sentient race. Mariah Cirrus, one of the ship's 2 occupants, was successfully revived by Dr. Franklin. End file. Subject, Babylon 5 Defense Grid. In addition to its Star Fury squadrons, Babylon 5 has powerful systems to protect it from any attack. The recently upgraded defense grid includes improved laser cannons, pulse discharge weapons, and interceptors. The defense grid showed its firepower during a recent battle with an aggressive Centauri warship. End file. Subject, Icarus. The Icarus was an exploration vessel on a 6-month scientific mission to the Outer Rim when it mysteriously exploded, killing all 140 hands on board, including Captain Sheridan's wife, Anna. New information revealed that the Icarus landed on the shadow homeworld of Zahadum. The Shadows destroyed the ship and killed everyone, except for Mr. Morden, who agreed to serve as their envoy. End file. Subject, Cortez. The Cortez is an Earth Alliance deep space exploration vessel under the command of Captain Jack Maynard. Ships like the Cortez can spend years in space, traveling to the farthest reaches of the galaxy, mapping territories and constructing jump gates. An explosion on board the Cortez crippled the vessel, trapping it in hyperspace. Only a risky maneuver by Zeta Wing prevented the ship and its crew from being lost forever. End file. Subject, Trigati. The Trigati was a Minbari battlecruiser that fought during the Bloody Earth-Minbari War. Following the Minbari's unexplained surrender at the Battle of the Line, the ship and its crew disappeared into self-imposed exile. The Trigati recently appeared at Babylon 5 in an attempt to reignite hostilities between Earth and Minbar. Its renegade mission failed, however, and the Trigati was destroyed by another Minbari warship. End file.
On the next Babylon 5.
I'm authorized to surrender command of Babylon 5 to you. It is an obscenity!
Captain John Sheridan, Babylon 5.
They still call you Starkiller.
Times change. Get up.
Ambassador's car mysteriously vanished?
You were the problem. Activate defense grid. Move it, everybody, move it!
On the next Babylon 5. On the next Babylon 5.
After 1,000 years, the darkness has come again.
There's a new order coming. You can either be part of it or you can be stepped on.
This is madness.
It's the worst kind of death you can imagine.
We don't have much choice, do we?
An ancient prophecy is about to be fulfilled.
All our races stand on the edge of extinction.
Who will survive on an all-new Babylon 5? On the next Babylon 5.
There is a storm coming, a black and terrible storm.
A scheming ambassador upsets the balance of power in the universe.
Can we count on your support, Ambassador? What you are asking could be considered treason. I hear sounds of billions of people calling your name.
But at what cost?
My followers?
Your victims.
On the next Babylon 5. On the next Babylon 5.
Power's down 30%. We're flying blind. We can't find our way out of hyperspace.
Trapped at the edge of the universe.
There's something strange going on.
At the brink of destruction.
Nothing can live in hyperspace.
Lost between hope and death.
No ship lost in hyperspace has ever been found again.
I'm determined to try.
Destiny awaits. On the next Babylon 5. On the next Babylon 5. For over 100 years it has been waiting.
There is something alive in there.
Waiting to strike again.
Came right through the walls. You look like it had come straight from hell. A soldier of darkness.
A predator from which there is no escape.
We're not going to have to go looking for it. It'll find us. You've got to give it what it wants. Get out!
On the next Babylon 5. On an all-new Babylon 5.
A rebellion on Mars colony.
They're violent fanatics with a murderous hatred of Earth Alliance.
Babylon 5 is neutral territory.
No!
There's been a murder, and I don't want the killer jumping station.
Witness ID, Talia Winters. Eliminate her.
Freeze!
Reading a dangerous energy surge.
Everybody out! Everything we believe in is in jeopardy.
On the next Babylon 5. On an all-new Babylon 5.
You'd love to find out how I did it, wouldn't you?
He was part of a top-secret experiment.
An empath.
You know him?
I was married to him.
An experiment that went out of control.
They have no hold on me. Nobody's that cool under pressure unless they got an ace up their sleeve.
An experiment he needs Talia to complete.
You coming with me?
His condition's tearing him apart.
On an all-new Babylon 5. On an all-new Babylon 5.
We know there's an underground. Who's running the operation?
When a band of rogue telepaths becomes the target of a Psy-Corps conspiracy.
They'll come after me.
We'll see.
It turns Babylon 5 into a war zone.
Don't force us to do this.
A war that only Talia can stop.
What am I?
The future.
Walter Koenig guest stars on an all-new Babylon 5. On the next Babylon 5.
The Emperor and I will both die.
A leader will fall.
Don't do this!
I have no choice!
A colony will be destroyed.
What are they?
It has begun.
And a captain will try desperately to stop.
Not again!
A galactic war.
All wings attack!
On the next 100 years of blood isn't something you'll forget overnight. Babylon 5. On the next Babylon 5.
The galaxy's changing, Captain, and Babylon 5 must change with it.
As the galaxy prepares for war.
Pull this whole thing off while there's still time.
Babylon 5 prepares for its new mission.
Operation Sudden Death.
As the ultimate weapon.
Babylon 5 will have enough firepower to take on a warship. It's a death trap.
Paul Winfield guest stars on the next Babylon 5. On the next Babylon 5, an unknown superpower threatens the galaxy.
Ready for launch.
And the captain risks everything.
What could go wrong?
To save the station.
Base of action. Ejecting! Captain!
Now taken prisoner.
Why are you torturing me? There is no escape.
Can anyone save him?
Oh my God.
On the next Babylon 5. On the next Babylon 5.
Enough! This ends now!
A galaxy engulfed by war.
The Nans are falling before us.
A station under siege.
We attack in 6 hours.
A battle which could destroy them all.
Babylon 5 is neutral territory, and I will not have you turn it into a war zone. You've already made the challenge, so you have the courage to back it up.
On the next Babylon 5. On the next Babylon 5.
We can't let Dr. Jacobs get off this station.
Our orders are shoot to kill.
A fugitive with evidence of high-level treason.
Enough to send the entire government into chaos.
Is trapped on board the station.
He could be hiding anywhere.
Now, the captain must risk his career.
We'll have to circumvent our own people.
To expose the truth.
You're in great danger, Captain.
On the next Babylon 5. On the next Babylon 5.
Get back! Death first!
When Sheridan is accused of murder.
That is how your race operates, is it not?
He was trying to kill me.
It leads to a vendetta from the past.
You'll have to step down as commanding officer of Babylon 5.
This smells of a setup.
That is about to ignite a countdown to war.
Starkiller.
They're ready to sacrifice everything.
On the next Babylon 5. On the next Babylon 5, a reporter is trapped on board the station.
The sounds you hear are heavy weapons doing battle just outside Babylon 5.
Covering the front line.
We are prepared to use deadly force.
Of an escalating war.
Our ships have the right to carry any cargo they choose. They also carry weapons of mass destruction.
On the next
Open fire.
Babylon 5. On the next Babylon 5.
Playing a very dangerous game, Captain.
Watch me. There is a place beyond evil.
The greatest nightmare of our time is waiting for you.
Where the destiny of the galaxy will be decided.
I want you to teach me how to fight them.
A place called Zaha Doom.
And if we fail, billions will die.
I'm going to stop them.
On the next Babylon 5. On the next Babylon 5, Sheridan has a close encounter with an unexplained phenomenon.
It was here. It attacked me.
Now something's invading his thoughts.
There is nothing wrong with you. Then I'm just plain nuts.
And controlling his mind.
Override locking controls. Delta 1 is launching.
On the next Babylon 5. On an all-new Babylon 5.
The Dark Angel of Dratha!
An outbreak in space.
It is 100% terminal.
Brings a death sentence to Babylon 5.
This plague is spreading like wildfire. This is gonna get real ugly, real fast.
And there's only one way to stop it.
If I let you into that isolation zone, I can't let you out again.
Who will make the ultimate sacrifice on an all-new Babylon 5? On the next Babylon 5.
There's danger within!
A deep-cover Psy Corps agent.
Someone here is not what he or she appears.
Is about to initiate their deadly program.
Exposing the coup means going up against some pretty big guns.
Our lives are on the line here.
Now it's up to Sheridan to stop the spy
Do you know who I am?
before the program destroys them all on the next Babylon 5. On the next Babylon 5.
The line has been drawn.
To stop an army of darkness.
The Great War is nearly upon us. We've got mass riots all over the place.
To save a race from extinction.
We will be using masked drivers.
Are you mad?
Captain Sheridan is about to join forces with a secret army and an ancient power.
Must be protected at any cost.
On the next Babylon 5. On the next Babylon 5.
You cannot escape what's coming.
When Delen's loyalty is questioned by the Vorlons.
I want to know the truth.
You're not ready for the truth.
She must survive the test of the Inquisitor.
How far are you prepared to go?
But can Sheridan stop him before he goes too far?
Leave her alone. Your turn now.
On the next Babylon 5. On the next Babylon 5.
We request sanctuary.
When an act of honor
The Narn warship is under my protection.
ignites a deadly showdown.
You will not survive.
Sheridan comes face to face with his true destiny.
You know what is at stake.
The fight for the galaxy has begun.
Launch everything we've got!
On the next Babylon 5.